Time for another wrestling podcast.
All right. Are you fucking kidding me?
Guys, I got blocked again on Twitter.
I'm your mark of marks.
That's the most reliable source on the interwebs.
The social assassin at your disposal, bitches.
All right, guys. Another day, another dollar, another wrestling podcast. Episode 234. I'm Credo.
I'm Angry Cooter, the social assassin. At your disposal, bitches.
And I am Minority Mike.
Guys, another week is happening over here for us. It's a lot of things have happened. A lot of things have happened in that past week of wrestling into this week. We got to talk about a lot of things. But first and foremost, guys, joining us on the show today, we have on Enzo, formerly known as Enzo Amore. Now just Enzo. nZo will be joining Jonathan Benjamin later. JB is going to sit down and talk with Enzo a little bit. And this was after the fact. I know we had Big Cass on, or CazXL, right before he had that little bit of problem. Incident. So I know Enzo will probably speak a little bit about that and see how Kaz is doing, but stay tuned for that, guys. I'm very upset, but before we even get to that, stay tuned later because we're going to talk about some pay-per-views that didn't end, I guess, in the right way, if we could put it nicely. But before we even get into that, guys, I got to see the Joker finally. Did you guys see it yet? Did you see the Joker?
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I saw it opening night.
Well, wait. No spoilers, right? Like,
no
did you
spoilers.
see it?
No, I haven't seen it yet. I'm going to see it tomorrow.
Okay, so anybody listening, no spoil. It's a non-spoiler alert, so you don't have to pause or anything or fast forward. Okay, Mike, I'm sorry. Just making sure there's no spoilers.
No, I will never spoil it for people. I will say this, though. I saw it opening night. I saw it on Friday night, and I went into this movie. I wasn't as excited as most people were about it. Just something about it just didn't do anything for me, but I went with my friends. I gave it a chance, and I'm going to tell everybody right now, holy shit. Holy shit. I loved it. It was good. It was a slow burn. But when that burn hit you, holy shit, you felt it.
Yeah, and it's the first time, and this isn't giving anything away, I mean, it's the first time we see the Joker as a person in his entirety. I mean, every other movie or TV show we've seen the Joker, it's like bits and clips. Like, you see the Joker doing his Joker thing, right? He's being a bad guy. But this is kind of like, it's an origin story, if you will, a little bit, just to kind of get into his life. So it's like you get to kind of live what he's doing and live to see what he's seeing and understand almost, right? Kind of how he becomes insane in a way. You know what I mean? Why
I want to see this movie, Credo?
What is that?
Because the difference in opinion, where the critics are shitting all over this, but the fans are just raving about how much they like it. So for all those SWJs, I think you need to, just chill the fuck out and enjoy a goddamn movie for what it is.
Joaquin Phoenix definitely shocked me. I mean, I know he's a great actor, but man, he definitely did a great job playing the Joker. It was one of those things where like you got so invested because it was so believable. The story was so believable. It wasn't like an acid bath or anything like that. It was a legit believable story that can actually happen to anybody.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like in this day and age, it wasn't cartoony. It was like legit. This guy, anybody could, it was like anybody or whatever could turn into the Joker kind of a thing. But it was a great story.
We have some similar tastes when it comes to movies, all of us. In your humble opinions, Joaquin Phoenix better or on par with Heath Ledger?
I tweeted it, man. He's my favorite Joker on screen. He is my favorite on-screen Joker. Then Heath. But and so on and so forth. But I think it's just because I see more of him. I get to see more of the Joker in this in a way that you don't really get to see all the time. So he's my number one favorite right now as a Joker. Number one favorite.
Such a tough question because Heath Ledger was my favorite, and then Joaquin Phoenix he was that sleeper that I didn't think was going to be good, and he just came out of nowhere. It's so tough for me to even answer that. Yeah, basically.
RKO out of nowhere. But Cooter, man, you got to get to the theater. You got to go see it. Yeah, I mean,
I know, I do.
It's I don't know. He was definitely my favorite, and it left me wanting more. I would love to see him in other movies or whatnot, but I don't know, it might just be a standalone. Who knows? But at the end of the day, the biggest surprise was the director, because this is the guy who directed, I think it was The Hangover, I want to say Road Trip, or something, and a few others, comedy movies. And I did not expect the way this was shot, how it was delivered, the acting, the shoot, I was like, no way this guy did the same. How did this guy do these movies and then come out with this kind of a masterpiece, if you will?
It's called versatility, baby.
It's got that versatility. But, what's funny is that you mentioned the critics. A lot of the critics are shitting on it because they always shit on everything. But there's also people like saying threats like there's going to be violence, people are going to get shot at the Joker, don't go opening night, and this and that. And I'm like, come on.
There was also people that were like telling cinemas to ban this movie because it was so realistic to them, and yeah, they targeted the mental health, and that's as far as I'm going to go with it. But it wasn't that bad. To me, it wasn't that bad.
It was good though. The way they did it, it was good. It was a great movie, and I hope this kind of a movie. This is an Oscar-worthy movie. Oscar-worthy. It'll
never happen. You're talking about the same Academy that gave an Academy Award to Milk over fucking The Wrestler.
Well,
yeah.
Either way. The Joker. So Cooter, you got to get to the theaters, but let me talk to you real quick about this because I'm really pissed off about what happened. I mean, we had.
That's usually my department, Credo. Come on.
I know, Angry Credo, meet the Mark Father, just Cooter. But no, it was such a great week. Not a lot of nitpicking. I mean, Raw was good. AEW, it was just, everything was good. Yes, there was a lot of little whatever's in between, but it was a healthy week of wrestling in a way to where I enjoyed everything I watched. Come Hell in a Cell, people started talking like, what's the card? There's only 4 matches. They literally did not give the whole the final matches till I think it was 2 or 3 hours before the actual pay-per-view, and I just threw it away. I was like, whatever, it's not a big deal. I just want to see Bray Wyatt or the Fiend versus Seth Rollins. I want to see this match because I think Rollins is going to lose. I mean, how could you kill the kind of momentum the Fiend has with this kind of character? And lo and behold, Cooter, they killed it. They killed everything. They killed wrestling. They killed this match. The fans were chanting refund at the end of this match. They were chanting AEW. This match just got carried out. And now I know everybody was arguing or trying to counterpoint this with, well, what about when The Undertaker did stuff like this? Yes, he did it to a certain extent, but when you're getting 10 plus, I gotta count all the finishers that were given in this, but he had 10 plus finishers, and he was always kicking out at 1 on them, and I'm like, you're starting to me, you're pulling that Fonzie, you're jumping the shark, baby. Cooter, man, were you mad at this match? Did it just kind of shit on wrestling?
Y'all motherfuckers need to stop overreacting. Was it a bad finish? Absolutely. I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know where they were going. I want to think this. If I had to think anything, in my opinion, in a match that has no rules and you have to beat him by pinfall or a submission, and Seth had to do that in order to walk away from that match, otherwise he's not leaving with his title, how does Seth beat him in a regular one-on-one wrestling match? That's the only thing that I'm like, that might make it interesting. Yeah.
And it was they booked themselves into a corner because it's they don't want Seth to lose right now. They don't want the Fiend to lose right now. But you put him in a Hell in a Cell match to where, I mean, just thinking off the top of my head, how do you fix this match to where, okay, Seth could be coughing up blood, and then he just passes out maybe, or no, because then he would lose the title, right? So it's how do you make either one win or whatnot inside the cell and still make them look good? And it's hard. It's they really put themselves into a corner with this, and it's how do you get out of it? And when he started kicking out after all those curb stomps after one, I'm like, okay, now, like you were just saying, forget about this Hell in the Cell. Let's just do a regular match, and he's never losing.
Exactly. That's what makes it kind of interesting to me. That's the only thing that was going on during my, this thought process. I'm like, wow, they're gonna make him completely unstoppable. The only way Seth is getting out of this match is if he does something so drastic that the ref has to throw the match out or ref stoppage type of thing. You don't ever want to see a Hell in a Cell with a ref stoppage. That's supposed to be the end all be all of a feud, and this was kind of just thrown together out of nowhere. It just didn't make sense, and I don't see why you had to put these two in the cell. There were plenty of other feuds that you probably could have had that Hell in a Cell match with, and it didn't have to be these two for the title. It was just, like you said, they painted themselves in the corner, and even if the paint dries, you're still going to get that shit all over your fucking shoes.
People were complaining. It was so funny because X-Pac was a part of their watch-along, whatever, on Facebook, and he's like, wait a minute, how do you DQ in a match that's non-DQ, you know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, they came up with this whole story with the ref stopping it, he was worried for whatever, but I'm like, that's the point of the match. Like, there's no DQ no matter what. Even if you kill him, you still win, kind of a thing. So it's like, what?
Here's the thing. Think back to one of your favorite fucking matches ever. Bret Hart and Stone Cold. Now, WrestleMania, submission match. The only way you're winning is by submission. Did Stone Cold submit? So why is it a big deal now that the ref stops the match? That's why I'm like, was it a shitty ending? Yes, but I think the fans are overreacting because in that same circumstance, you're like, oh, that was the greatest match ever. Oh, well, because the guy that you wanted to win won. That's why.
No.
I just want to add one thing. The difference between a submission match and the Hell in a Cell is the Hell in a Cell is supposed to be a very barbaric and crazy match where you're supposed to see brutality. You're supposed to be seeing stuff like that. You're not going to see that same brutality in a submission match. You're going to see a lot of... Oh,
really? You're not? Because that's no DQ. They use chairs. They use weapons. But it's the same type of thing. There's technical. Just no cage.
But the Hell in the Cell, it's in the name, Hell. It's supposed to be hell. We witnessed a guy get thrown off the top of the cell. It's supposed to be barbaric. It's stuff like that with chair shots and then sludge hammers to a lunchbox, to a ladder, to a chair.
I'm agreeing with you. That was stupid. Yeah. But I'm just saying in the sense where don't sit there and tell me there can't be a ref stoppage in a match that has no DQ. We've seen it before, and if used right, it works. That's all I'm saying. It wasn't used right. It wasn't used right.
And it kind of, to me, it devalues the Hell in the Cell. Like, I have no interest in Hell in the Cell matches anymore.
What was funny about this is because at the end of the day, regardless of what happened, I mean, there were fans. They had people, fans on Twitter afterwards, just chanting refund and whatnot. To where, wow, this is a big deal. Like everybody was just pissed at this ending. Now it's like, okay, well, let's tune into Raw, see what's going to happen. They did not make one mention of this match till 10:45 because the first time I heard it, I looked at that clock and I was like, wow, they were, you could tell how either embarrassed or they wanted to just bury this shit so that it doesn't exist for a while.
It was smart.
I mean, yeah, but it's like, man, how do you come back from this, guys? I don't know. How does Seth come back next week? Or no, he's coming back tomorrow night for. So we are recording this on a Thursday. We're not going to hear it on Smackdown, but so Seth Rollins is going against Roman Reigns for the first pick on Raw versus Smackdown for the draft coming up this week. So Seth's alive. He's going to have a match this week, but what about the Fiend, guys? Is the Fiend dead? Like, what do you do with these matches? Because, I mean, obviously we just saw, and my last 2 points about this is that, that red light man, I'm sorry, it's got to go. Like, you can't fucking have him in a regular match at SummerSlam and then fucking leave the red light on for the fucking Hell in a Cell. But regardless of that, like, what do you do with the Fiend from here? Because from what we saw, he could take like 20 finishers and still kick out. Even after the ref stoppage and he's on a stretcher or whatnot, even after all that, he still was able to get up and give the mandible claw to him. No problem. No selling. No sell of being hurt or anything. What do you do with them, guys?
Did you guys hear all the boos at Hell in a Cell when Seth Rollins was firing up and hitting all those curb stomps.
They were behind the Fiend, man.
They were
it's amazing.
really behind him, man. And I thought it was a smart move on the WWE to keep both of them off of TV, because I have a feeling that Seth Rollins would have got booed.
He's going to get booed tomorrow.
No, definitely.
There's no question.
He's facing Roman.
How ironic is that? Who the fuck are we supposed to boo? Because
Roman or
I
Rollins?
Can't stand Seth Rollins, but I have to be the guy that boos the guy with cancer because I'm an asshole. So I'm so completely torn.
Did you watch Smackdown on Friday?
Of course I watched Smackdown. And why would I miss such a glorious event?
Okay, so I mean, I went to go see the Joker movie, but when I came home, I watched it, and I gotta say, man, they did an amazing presentation with that program. Amazing. They did the blue carpet before, apparently. I didn't see that, but I did hear that Bobby Lashley and Lana were keeping a kayfabe on that blue carpet.
I can't stand this.
Yeah, that's a terrible program.
Yo, why is it Vince's obsession with people who have fucking relationships? He's got to shit all over them. We've turned Mike Kanellis into a cuck, and now we're turning Lana into a chick that likes, you know.
Lana has been that chick for the past couple of years.
I know.
This is a story for another segment.
All right, fair enough. But back to SmackDown.
We gotta stay on SmackDown right now. But I understand your pain because I feel bad for Rusev. But SmackDown was amazing. I thought it was great. I thought it was the first night on Fox. I thought it was good. The set was awesome.
Oh yes,
Love was awesome. For some reason, a lot of people were kind of shitting on it, but I actually really loved the opening theme song.
And not only that, you know what I really, really loved?
What's that?
The fact that worthless whole Renee Young is no longer in my ear that entire fucking broadcast. It is just Michael Cole and Corey Graves in a two-man booth, and it works so well. I know they love the three-man booth, and in some cases it works, but these two have just great back and forth without that fucking babbling idiot just ruining everything.
Yeah, but you know what we got to get into right now? We have to get into one of the biggest topics of the weekend. I think the internet's still on fire right now, and that's how poor Kofi Kingston lost in, 9 seconds. Michael Cole couldn't even finish the read for the promo.
They still had the graphic up for the fucking sponsor, for God's sakes, before the match was over.
You know what? I think I don't know how. I think I know how you feel about it, and this is how I feel. I thought it was perfectly fine, and the reason why is, and this is my reason why I think it's perfectly fine, because Fox wants a sports feel. They want that surprise element, and you watch a football game, you can get surprised, and a touchdown can happen on an opening kickoff. You watch baseball, the first pitch of a game, a home run can happen. You never see that happen.
That's true.
We just witnessed Ben Askren getting knocked out in 9 seconds. We didn't see that coming.
No.
Kofi Kingston lost in 9 seconds. That gave me that unexpected sports vibe feel, and I was okay with that. I mean,
my jaw hit the floor. I'm not gonna lie. I was very okay with it, because we're seeing a lot of Brock. If Brock's gonna be on TV, I don't mind him having the title. Do I think Kofi should get a rematch down the road? Absolutely. I think him getting squashed like that and him chasing for the belt is just as good as him holding the belt, because who else is there left for him, really? I don't want to say that, because he beat everybody on that roster that was worth having,
unless they mix it up.
Well, which is what's going to happen tomorrow. So, I mean, I think it's okay. I think with a new roster and him chasing and maybe some fresh matchups, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah. And then they squashed him, and not only did they squash him, but he was swept under the carpet because we had Rey Mysterio come out, which, just like how I thought, I know everybody else thought this, I thought at first it was Dominic. I really did.
I did too.
Everybody thought it was Dominic, and then I had to really look at that TV screen. Now, granted, I'm a little blind, everybody, But when I squinted at that TV and I finally realized
who
it was Cain
yeah.
Velasquez.
I noticed it when he took his shirt off because I recognized the brown pride tattoo. Because I'm like, wait a minute. I mean, that can't be him because he shaved his fucking head.
Yeah. And not only that, like, I'm sitting there, I was like, this guy is still under contract with the UFC. Like,
yeah.
What is he doing here? And, a lot of people, especially, like, the uneducated fans, and I mean uneducated meaning by MMA uneducated, but they watch.
I know what you mean.
They were basically going.
But you gotta give him credit, Mike. He was following his dream.
They had no idea, and a lot of people didn't have any idea who Cain Velasquez was. And I thought Corey Graves did an awesome job telling you who Cain Velasquez was. Cain Velasquez was the guy who took the UFC title from Brock Lesnar. Not only did he take that title, he embarrassed Lesnar. Lesnar was doing cartwheels in that octagon trying to get away. It was an embarrassment to see that.
You know what's ironic about this?
What's up?
Is that this is the first SmackDown on Fox, and Cain Velasquez literally got knocked the fuck out in what was it? It was less than 30 seconds.
Against Junior Dos Santos.
Against Dos Santos. I mean,
it was
granted,
a minute.
He clowned the shit out of him the next two fights that they had, and just mangled him. But it was like you said, that fight feel. He got caught. Granted, he was coming off injury. He came back with the knee too soon. Blah 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 blah. But he got caught, and same thing happened to Kofi.
Yeah, and now a lot of people don't know, but Cain Velasquez has been wrestling for the past year. He's been down at AAA. He's been wrestling lucha libre style. He actually wrestles with a mask, believe it or not.
Thank God.
That's crazy.
That's why he shaved his head. It's the only way he could get the fucking thing on that big ass head of his.
Now, I do want to bring up, guys, the whole Kofi thing. I get squashes and stuff, but man, you didn't even give him a little bit of offense. Like, he ran into his arms and got F5'd, and that was it. I'm like, ugh. They built it up all week, Kofi versus Brock, and then that's how they kill it. I mean, man, Daniel Bryan even got some offense on him, man, against Brock, but I think we all saw this coming. I think we talked about it for months that, like, we knew that this was going to happen to Kofi. Poor Kofi, man.
Nobody expected him to win that, Credo.
Go back to our shows. I think we all said that Brock was going to probably win the WWE Championship on SmackDown when it goes to Fox, and that was the first night on Fox. But man, I didn't think it was going to happen like that.
I gotta ask you guys a question because of Fox, we're getting a lot of these. Other people, cross promotions and stuff. We talked about Cain Velasquez, but Tyson Fury, who do you think came across better on television, Fury or Cain Velasquez? Because I think Tyson Fury came out there, had a little bit more of a personality.
So my thing is this. Tyson Fury definitely, on the mic, can cut promos all day.
Yes.
And he's going to be awesome on the mic. Now, with that
I'm just
being
waiting
said,
for him to drop that first F-bomb, though, by accident.
With that being said, this past Monday on Raw, someone needs to train Tyson Fury, the professional fighter, how to throw a working punch. And not only that, I thought I thought Tyson Fury cut the better promo than Braun Strowman. Let's be serious here.
Yeah.
But when it got to the physicality of it, it was just so embarrassing to watch at some point. Like, Braun just kind of picked up Tyson and lightly put him in the corner. And then they were kind of like a third grade fight or two 13-year-olds just tussling around. Now, I get it. I don't know if Tyson Fury wants to do too much physicality because he's waiting for that big payday coming up in the next couple once Wilder has his fight, and then they have Fury Wilder 2. That's a big payday, but
yeah.
I mean, he could have got at least a little more in there. It was just fucking pathetic. But other than that, I thought Fury was great on the mic.
Now, guys, it might not be a surprise to you, but I don't really watch much sports outside of pro wrestling. So, first and foremost, when Cain came out, you mentioned you thought it was Ray's son. I thought it was Ray's older son. Like, I guess I thought he had another older son. Or maybe it was like his Uncle Tito or something coming to the ring. I didn't know who the fuck he was until they actually said his name. I'm like, man, his sons just keep getting huge. Like, what's going on in that family? So I was a little thrown off on the whole Cain Velasquez situation. But now Tyson Fury, I have no idea. Is he like the top boxing guy, or like, I mean,
he's the one who beat Klitschko, who was the dominant heavyweight boxer for God knows how many years. We didn't see boxing in America for God knows how many. Well, heavyweight boxing, because it was basically overseas, Eastern Europe, Russia, Germany. We didn't get to see it. Then somebody went over there, beat his ass, and took his belts.
Yeah, and then Tyson Fury right now is undefeated right now, and he is basically the heavyweight version of Floyd Mayweather, trash talking, like just putting butts in seats.
See, that's what I thought boxing became. I thought boxing just became little guys like Mayweather. I was like, oh, I guess they kind of shrunk a little bit over the time.
There hasn't been any great heavyweights, in my opinion, and you guys, or Cooter, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but there hasn't been any great heavyweights. I mean, we're not talking Klitschko. I'm talking about Tyson. Since Tyson, I don't think there's any great. It's debatable. It's debatable.
I'll give Lennox Lewis his due. I will.
Yeah,
I thought he was, very cheesy with his sticking his arm out there, because Klitschko did the same thing. But
let me rephrase that. There hasn't been any dominant heavyweights that put asses in seats.
Fair enough.
Since Tyson. And now Tyson Fury, what a nice little segue. Tyson, putting asses in seats.
I think this is a whole ploy too from Fox and Fox Sports, because I mean, for the person, I mean, I don't watch it all, so I don't know all these guys all the time. So like, I don't know who these guys really were, but there's other people that do watch it, and now to maybe draw them into, like, that whole Fox Open for Smackdown was amazing, because it reminded me of football, reminded me of Major League Baseball, and all their stuff. Like, they're making wrestling legit over here, kind of thing, and I love it. So bringing other sports people into the mix with boxing and Cain and all that stuff, just kind of be that outside wheel of WWE, to where they incorporate all these other athletes throughout the year in wrestling. I think that'll be a major payoff for them in the end, because you're going to get all those people who watch just boxing. Now they're going to watch wrestling. And then you get the people who just watch MMA who now want to watch wrestling, what this guy's going to do. And then, hell, this can go to the NBA. I mean, The Rock dropped LeBron's name on TV, so maybe we'll see LeBron at WrestleMania. I don't know, but...
And that's the thing. It's nice to see something like this outside of the WrestleMania season.
Yeah, it's not just
we're not used to that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And not for nothing, I mean, people are complaining about this, but you want to know something? It's not like they're going to be on WrestleMania. They're going to Saudi with these guys.
Yeah, and
that's that blood money.
That's what we're finding out tomorrow on the press conference at noon. So we'll see what's going on with that. But Mike, NXT AEW. Week 2, baby. Week 2 happened. The ratings just came out today. The ratings... AEW remains at the top of the whole little war. I mean, if they're still counting it as a war, but AEW won this week again. Let's talk about this. I mean, they both had some drop in numbers. That's given, because everybody wanted to see that first show what's happening. But even with that little bit of a drop off, without even giving the official numbers, they won. You know what I mean? They beat them in the ratings. What do you think about this? Do you think it's gonna die down? Do you think it's still that just because it's that shiny new toy? They kind of just want to see what happens for the next few weeks?
I think that it's going to continue this way for a while, and this is my reason behind it. And it's not a knock against NXT. I still, to this week, I thought NXT was a better wrestling show. And I've mentioned this to you guys before. We are the hardcore fans. People listening to this podcast are probably the hardcore fans too. There's definitely casuals to listen. But we are the people that when NXT was on the network, we went out of our way to watch NXT. As for the casual fans, they just watched Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. I have casual friends that watch just basically Raw, SmackDown. They won't give NXT a chance, but they'll watch AEW. Because they see Chris Jericho, they see who they still call Dean Ambrose, which is hilarious. I personally think that this is the WWE's fault, because I think they're lazy with promoting what NXT is on their brand shows. I see more advertising on Raw, not on legit on Raw, but I see more advertising for AEW during Raw than I do for NXT. Like, my friends are casual fans. They don't know who Undisputed Era is, but they tune into Raw. What Raw or SmackDown should do is they should start releasing video packages. Who is the NXT champion? Why should you tune in to watch the NXT champion? This is why. Yeah. They don't do that. So this is the WWE's fault. This Triple H is doing everything he can to get this baby going.
Before we started the show, I wanted to see if I could watch NXT on the app before we talked, and it wasn't available on the app yet, so I was like, fuck, all right. So I watched it on my DVR, and I thought they were going to play that game to where, you know, maybe they're not going to release NXT on the network until maybe a week or so later, to where now you have to watch it live or whatnot. So I was worried about that for a second, but they just made it available at 10 o'clock to watch yesterday's show on there. So a little bit of a game, because if you don't watch one, you can't watch it right away unless you're taping it or DVRing it or whatnot. So it's becoming a little bit of a game for me. So what am I going to watch live? What am I going to watch recorded? But Mike, you posted a video the other day because besides NXT and AEW, there's other stuff still going. And I know I'm still not tuning into TNA yet. I have to find time, and I have to really prepare myself to sit through this and why am I watching it. But NWA has an old school look, and this is all I've been hearing from several people about it. Can you explain what they're doing? Because it's a lot different than what we're watching on every other channel.
Oh, it's so different. They're on 605, which I think is cool. 605 every Tuesday, they release an episode on YouTube. And they literally are in a studio similar to how they were back in the day. And it gives you that old school vibe. Old school entrance. I mean, they got the group Dokken. And Dokken is their entrance or their theme, which Dokken is an old school 80s metal band. It's just it's so different. It's kind of like a step back from what we're dealing with now, and just oh my god, I absolutely love the presentation. I hope it lasts long, and I hope people really give into it. But Nick Aldis, fucking awesome. When he was doing that interview and holding that title, it reminded me of Ric Flair. It really did back in the day. And it's just, that presentation is just amazing. I highly recommend, if you guys have not watched it, just watch it. It's so good.
I saw a clip of it, and it just, you're right. It's got that retro look to it, little old school. And, dude, Nick Aldis could talk his ass off. I got to give him credit, dude.
And that's what's great about though, because it's you get all these offerings like WWE's. Oh, you're gonna have the big lights and the show and whatnot. Then AEW, what were they gonna do different? And then now it's like you don't need to do all this fancy. Just keep it like it was. Make it old school, and that will lure a lot of old school fans away from everything else, and hopefully maybe give NWA their own place in this whole little wrestling world, this little niche, if you will, of what's happening. So
I was laughing because you talk about how you haven't seen, you couldn't watch NXT, but it's available on Hulu, literally in the morning. I'm actually curious. It's probably on demand. And there's no app for fucking TNT, is there? Because I know USA has an app, but there isn't one for TNT.
There is. Not
TV. No, there isn't.
No, not from. I apologize. It's not for TNT. There's either Bleacher Report, but they have AEW Plus now.
Oh, they do. They have their own app.
That's for international, but you can actually pay monthly for it.
Oh yeah, because I want to do that. But
I'm
that's
just saying. I just threw that out there.
Listen,
Go on.
There is. I don't want to cut you off, but there is. If you go to there's a Watch TNT app, and it has basketball, movies. And then their last screen right now is AEW, so I'll have to check it out, though. I haven't looked at it.
So there is an app, because I was looking for it in the well, here's the other thing. It might be for the phone. I don't know if they have it for the Apple TV. I have to look, because when I typed in TNT in the App Store, I didn't see one. There is one for, but maybe I just spelled it wrong, because it's Watch TNT, you're saying?
Yeah, it says Watch TNT.
All right, I'll have to look it up. But because my whole thing was, if it's on demand the next day, then I don't have to worry about DVRing it, because I use a lot of the apps on the Apple TV. That being said, I didn't see it, so I can't judge it. I didn't watch the AEW. It's on my DVR. I heard some of the comments, saw a clip or two. I heard some of the audio. I can't judge it because I didn't see it. But on the other hand, NXT loved it. You're keeping me invested in your storylines. They set up Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair. Really well done. Kushida versus Walter was an incredible match. Just fucking fantastic. And not to mention, you started off the show with Lio Rush versus Drew Gulak. And it was a solid 2-hour show without too many lows. Even some of the female performers, Dakota Kai, even though she lost, she's looking good. You know, I see a lot of good wrestling on that show.
You know what I want to add to what you're saying is you brought up Lio Rush, and a lot of people, maybe it's just me, and maybe you might have saw this too, but they kind of built like this redemption story with Lio Rush. I don't know if you listened to Morrow or listened to Nigel, them talking about like how Leo was on the main roster and kind of ran into some demons. Because Morrow's really big on pushing mental health month.
Yes. And
he brought that up, mental health month, and how Lio Rush is battling his own demons, and now this is his redemption story to win this title. And I really liked how they did that. And that just tells you like the difference between AEW's commentating team and Mauro Ranallo's commentating team. And the one thing that Morrow brought up, which I absolutely fucking loved, one of my favorite songs to listen to, especially when I'm at the gym, is Meek Mill's Dreams and Nightmares, or Nightmares and Dreams. And when Lio Rush won that song, Morrow just quoted that first lyric that just fit perfectly with what's happening on that screen right now. It was just awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And one last question about this, guys. Because we used to always talk like NXT was the perfect package, to where it was an hour, it was digestible, it was great. You know, like I loved it. But now I know it's only been 2 weeks, but is the 2 hours still great with you? I mean, is it still that perfect package in a way? I mean, it's not too long, right? I mean,
I think it is, and I'm going to tell you why. We've expanded the roster. We've added some of the guys from NXT UK. You have the cruiserweight division in there. And look, we didn't see Johnny Gargano this week. We didn't see Finn Balor this week. So we're not seeing the same people week in and week out that are going to open the show. So I'm very, very okay with it. And that, to me, what was very, very important. When it was a 1 hour show, we weren't seeing Nakamura every week. It was like a treat to see him. You know, it was just when this episode is must see because this guy's going to be on it. And, you know, I enjoy that aspect of it.
Two things I want to add before we move on. The one thing I really love about NXT, and they do this so good, and this is something that they need to do on Raw because they don't do this enough, is they make you invested on what's going to happen next week.
Yes.
They are telling the story of the rubber match between Keith Lee and Donovan Dijak. I can't even pronounce it. Dijak, from what I know.
Dijokovic.
But Dijokovic, thank you.
I'm making it up.
I can watch those guys wrestle every fucking night. They are incredible, and they're telling me that that's going to be one of the matches next week. I'm tuning in to watch that match because I love it. The second thing I want to bring up is last week I called Private Party the bootleg version or the dollar store version of the Street Profits. I'm going to say this right now. I'm going to take that statement back because they definitely, after the match they had with the Young Bucks, they separated themselves. And I think I actually loved their gimmick. I think it's different. And I loved when they said weighing in at 2 ounces of cranberry and vodka. I thought that was great. And I thought their entrance where they had the VIP rope, I thought that was great too.
Oh, great!
Just wait until they have to cut a promo. That's all I'm gonna say. Don't judge fully.
Yeah, don't ruin it for me right
There's
now.
a reason why they haven't been given a promo yet. So
let me give them some credit where the credit is due.
Okay.
The match was
Remember
great.
what I said last week. The therapist says you have to start with love.
All right. So, either way, guys, starting with some love. Jonathan Benjamin did sit down with Enzo this week, so without any further ado, Enzo.
All right. Well, we try all the time to get the best names in the world on another wrestling podcast. Today is no different. The often outspoken and incredible Enzo. I am just at a loss right now. I can't believe we got you.
Oh, come on, man. I'm not that unaccessible. I do meet and greets, around in the Northeast territory. And if you ever come on out to one, I'm sure you'll get to meet Eric. That's my name. But the stage presence formerly known as Enzo Amore. Quite a character. On Instagram, you can follow me at Real One, and Twitter. Known to put the wrestling world in a tizzy, but it's all fun and it's all love. So happy to be here.
Well, thanks so much. And just right off the bat, I heard a little bird just said something, but what's going on for you today? What are you doing today?
I'm in the studio. New. I'm steadily working on some music, working on some different projects, man, with some incredible people. Shout out my buddy Tommy Puzo with the Duce podcast, entitled Rock Nation. So I'm out here working with. I'm in the same booth as Mary J. Blige. So this booth that I'm in has been blessed, and this microphone's been blessed by the likes of Memphis Bleak and Mary J. Blige and the Wu-Tang Clan. So it's a cool vibe out here, and I'm just working on some pop music, man. Not necessarily really hip hop, but some pop type music. It's a different wave, man. I've never wrote it, but music is new to me too. So it's fun, and I think that challenge and change are one and the same, and I embrace them both. So.
Well, I mean, it's no surprise really that you're still in the entertainment industry. It would be probably very easy to realize that you were born and bred for this sort of thing. So being a part of the music industry and just still kind of being a part of the wrestling industry, what are the similarities and maybe some of the things that are different about those two businesses?
I mean, pro wrestling was a dream come true. I kind of stumbled upon it, but music is something that I was born into. My dad's a DJ, so he'd be making his mixes. He used to sell action figures at like Comic Cons and like comic books, and he was a big collector of comic books and toys. And he used to make, he DJ'd weddings, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, sweet 16s, quinceañeras, corporate events, you name it, New York City. So I was just constantly, picking up speakers by the time I was 12, 13, trying to help my dad with a bad back and then, hitting the play button. But little did I know when I was, in the room with him and he was talking to 250, 300 people in a room on a microphone, that I was learning a skill that, inherently I didn't even realize was a skill. I just kind of ended up, learning. I do believe you're a product of your environment, and when you're out there doing the YMCA, leading the crowd when you're 13 years old, and the electric slide and the Cupid shuffle and cha-cha slide, you name it, I rode the wave all the way until I was 18, and I went away to college. And every time I came home in the summers and the winters, I was DJing. So, I never, really had much of a real job. I just, I DJ'd on the weekends, and I was a mover during the week. I worked on a moving truck with all my homies from high school, and I was kind of letting my writing degree from college go to waste, and there was really not much of a need to be a writer when, it was tough. I don't know if people remember, but in 2010, if you graduated college, trying to get a writing gig was not easy, man. There wasn't many writing gigs. I was going to interviews in New York City, trying to get my foot in the door to help, write some television or write, I had a direction I wanted to go, some journalism. And then I, started making some YouTube videos. One of those videos ended up on, in the hands of Triple H, and I got a tryout in the WWE. It was in Barstool, and it was kind of going viral on Barstool. And I've been blessed with opportunity. In the WWE, it's something that like I work with guys, man, who like I would learn about this. So a guy leaves home at 18 years old, like Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn or Adrian Neville, for instance, as the world knows them. My best friend in wrestling for a while was, Pac. These guys leave home at 18 years old or 16 or 15 with a dream to be a pro wrestler that is, obscure in the world's point of view and deemed as, nearly astronomical to say, okay, I want to go be a pro wrestler and hold a title in the WWE or WCW for a different era. It's just, it's like saying you wanted to go win a World Series. I just know that I was working with guys when I got blessed with this opportunity by chance that left home to pursue this dream when nobody thought that they could do it. They made names for themselves and started putting food on the table and making money for themselves and having a real job that they could feed their family, their wives, formulate income, buy a home, get themselves opening other doors and opportunities through this world that people love. And I loved as a youth, make no mistake about it. I was in Madison Square Garden, every single time there was a show there. My parents either had to lie about it, because if I found out, because I had 17 cousins, somebody was going and I was getting there. So, I just, as you get older and you want to do that thing at 18, but your dad's like, okay, kid, like, you got an opportunity to go play college football. You got to go do that. So I just, went to the school that John Cena went to because I wanted to be a pro wrestler. And we went to the same college, and I just didn't know how you become a pro wrestler. And it just fell in my lap. I got lucky with it. I met a guy named Big Cass who formerly already knew who I was from watching Barstool Sports and YouTube, and he thought that I was money, and he believed in me from the beginning. And so, when he believed in me, I was nothing or nobody when I walked through the door of the WWE, and he allowed me to, potentially be his manager in pro wrestling. That's a guy who's been in the business for a year in WWE, and I have no experience. So the things that I learned from the relationship with Big Cass, how to act, who to talk to say, and all the way to the top, he gave me invaluable knowledge about the business as I was learning it firsthand in a way that nobody probably ever got thrust into the spotlight before ever. Because remember, the same night that I debuted on TV, NXT, I was supposed to be fired, was the same night that John Cena asked me to go to the ring with him when the cameras were not rolling. And I spelt out soft with Big Cass. We said, how you doing? And then, from there on out, the crowd just started saying it and chanting it, and we didn't know what the fuck happened.
You were off to the races, that's for sure. And it's really, I feel like one of the things again is it's you kind of have it or you don't. So as a kid, growing up, you grew up in Jersey, right?
Oh, hell yeah, baby. South Hackensack, New Jersey. If you know the song, The Entertainer, Anthony's song. Anthony's song. So, by Billy Joel, he says in the song, who wants Anthony works at the grocery store saving his pennies for someday. Who wants a house out in Hackensack is that all you get for your money. My dad's name, Anthony. He met my mother at the grocery store, and I grew up in Hackensack.
That's incredible. Did you see this happen for you as a kid? Like, did you see yourself being like setting these goals to be an entertainer, or were you just as surprised as other people? That this is what happened. You said it's the odds aren't with you to become a very famous professional wrestler.
No, not when you're my size. I got lucky. There's been some guys that have paved the way, like that I idolized as a child. A guy like Shawn Michaels. I had a tattoo of his heart on the inside of my arm when I was a teenager. So the fact that, you know, I got the guy who trains Triple H called his phone, and I was the only wrestling fan in the gym, and I was the only guy who knew who Paul Levesque was when my trainer got that phone call. And a year from that day, you know, making a YouTube video that went on Barstool Sports, went viral. I get signed after a tryout in front of Dusty Rhodes, cutting a promo. My life is a movie, just kind of waiting for somebody to, you know, come along and make the screenplay. I hope it happens in my lifetime. I don't know when it'll happen, but I'm just going to continue to hope, you know, that I continue to, you know, live a life that I've always dreamed of and always imagined. My fans afford me the opportunity and the blessing to still, you know, make enough money to feed my, you know, family, pay my bills, and live a dream so that, you know, I don't have to go back on the moving truck, which is something, you know, I said I would do if it ever came down to it. I am a prideful man, and there's certain I just won't do in this lifetime.
Well, you just mentioned it, maybe a screenplay about your life. Who would play you in that movie?
Oh, bro, dude, you know that this movie is waiting to be made. You gotta be honest with yourself. Nobody. I got a tattoo of a gym logo on my leg when I was 17. I was in Madison Square Garden when the Click broke kayfabe and had the curtain call. I was in Madison Square Garden when Diesel won the title in 8 seconds. I was in the Madison Square Garden, you know, for those moments. I ended up, you know, invading Madison Square Garden in you know, incredible fashion in the first show that was ran by a non-McMahon in 60 years. And, you know, it's just been a movie, and the ups, the downs, the opportunity of a lifetime when Joe DeFranco got that phone call from Triple H, and just that YouTube video that gave me an opportunity, and meeting Dusty Rhodes and the coaches and the people and the places and the things and the timing from the WWE Network launch to NXT becoming a product, leaving for the first time ever overseas, and just riding that wave all the way through till the end at 205 Live, and getting fired on the 25th anniversary of Monday Night Raw, to invading Survivor Series, to the Madison Square Garden incident, the reuniting with Big Cass, and, you know, the ups and the downs and what we do from here. And, you know, I just refuse to let all of that is behind me define me now. I think that the first chapter is clearly over, and I'm on to the second, maybe the third. And it's just a beautiful blessing to have lived this storyline out, because I don't know who the hell is up there pulling these strings. I feel like there's some sort of, I'm a part of some Sims video game or something, dude, and somebody's just playing as me and having a field day. You know, I just can't call it, but I know that life has ups and downs that, you know, you can't always be prepared for, but you got to be able to embrace them. I think that life is a beautiful thing, and I refuse to let, you know, the hatred that is so often seen in today's world published 10 times over before you see the good that's published, whether that be on the internet, whether that be in social media, in the comment sections, tweets, you know, even mass media. You know, it's just a very, very, you know, terrible world at times that doesn't need to be. And I just hope that through incidents with, you know, my tag team partner, my former roommate, my best friend, and you know, I'm married to this man in our business. People can't understand what it's like to have seen the world the way we had to have seen it together, because we were there for each other through thick and thin, and you have to be able to have each other's backs to navigate through those shark-infested waters that is the world of pro wrestling. It is a crazy, crazy world, and I couldn't have done it without him, and I think he'd say the same about me. You know, we had a real-life fallout because I took a business opportunity, and he, you know, we had to start looking at life not so much as a friend, but as business partners. And when the world of pro wrestling can deteriorate a friendship and cause two people to not speak for 2 years, and then one falls so publicly, and there's an opportunity there to see that friend get back on his feet. I tell people often I was at an autograph signing where I saw Animal from Legion of Doom, and there was no Hawk, obviously. And I just thought to myself, this was before Cass had a seizure and fell and went down. I just thought, man, you know, I should reach out to that guy. It's a goddamn shame that, you know, right now he's, you know, I know he's not working for the company. I'm not working for the company, and I don't need a tag team partner. I don't want to be a pro wrestler right now. I want to find out how he's doing. And sure enough, when he called me, I knew that he wasn't doing good. And he explained that to the world, and he inspired so many other people to reach out for help, so many other people that fell as well, to know that it's okay to fall as long as you get back up, because anxiety, addiction, depression, those things are real. They're a disease. I've seen them affect my best friend in ways that are incomprehensible to many, and they were incomprehensible to me. And just because I can't relate doesn't mean that I can't understand. I had to learn to understand that this guy doesn't want to wake up in the morning, and that if he's drinking to literally take his own life. Because when you drink and you come off of that bottle, if you really try to quit that thing cold turkey, or you try to get off that addiction can kill you worse than perhaps any other one in the world. And I just know that because we see it so often at social gatherings, and it's on the corner of every store in every hood in America, that we see these bottles. I tell people, man, they put 99-cent malt liquor in 99-cent cans in 99-cent stores for 99-cent motherfuckers, because they don't want to see you succeed. They want you to be in a routine of drinking that 99-cent bottle and not changing the fucking world, all right? I want to change the world. I think that other people should aspire to change the world through happiness, lift each other up rather than tear each other down. I can do it all. If you want to get roasted, I'll roast you. But that's comedy. It's all in good fun, and so is pro wrestling. And I just want people to be able to distinguish entertainment from real life. And right now, you're speaking to Eric, and Eric saw a best friend fall. And you'll get tastes of the character Enzo anytime you're speaking with me. But let's just be real. When it comes to life and tragedy and suicide, people need to speak up, and depression is real, anxiety is real, and these things are diseases. And I do believe them to be mechanisms of a Western civilization and a society that, you know, tells you constantly that you're not good enough. And we are in a capitalism, you know, consumer society, where, you know, you want things that you don't need. You don't go out and buy a new, you know, T-shirt and a new pair of clothes so that you'll look better for yourself. You only want to look better for yourself because you want other people to feel good too. You want to feel better about yourself. And I think that it's time some people let go of that ego, let go of that self, have fun. That's what's beautiful about pro wrestling, when a 7 or 8-year-old child is enjoying the act that is Enzo Amore, and he's saying every word with me, and he's crossing his hands, and he's wearing my wig. That is what I aspire to do. I go out there and I make a child at 7 or 8 years old have a good time, and a father not think about the IRS, his bills, his wife, his marital issues. You know, he's not thinking about anything but the great time he's having with his son. And so let's, as pro wrestling fans, embrace that understanding. Know that the performers that are out there to entertain you, and not necessarily be torn apart and ripped apart at every second from the limb on social media or in the comment section. Let these people live their lives. Let them entertain you. Let them be the acts that they are. If you want me to blur the line between reality and you know, character, I can do that as well as anybody. But I think that it's time to let people see me for who I am, Eric, the person that you will always see and meet in real life and at meet and greets. If you should not approach me, put your fists up and say, "Do you want to fight?" No shot intended. As a matter of fact, I want to touch on that subject as I rant, and I just, you know, I'm good at answering all the questions, so you don't have to ask them.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
You know, Big Cass before, you know, he did have an issue with, you know, his depression, his anxiety. I don't know that these things were direct derivatives of, the social media and the era in which I was just speaking of them, which we live in, where we should uplift each other. I'm just speaking to a guy who, said to me recently that all he wants is to be happy. And that is his goal, and he doesn't know that he's ever been happy. Mm-hmm. So I want to see that. I know that I've seen him happy. Maybe I think that he's just saying that because he doesn't remember that time because he's in such a bad place. And I can't relate to it, but I've seen him happy. I've been out there. I've felt the feeling, and I know it's real. I want to see him do it again. But, these issues that he's dealing with are so real and so relatable. So many people are going through them. It's got to be an open forum. People got to be able to understand it. It's okay to go out there and boo your favorite wrestler. You want to bury him in the comment section. I got the thickest skin maybe in the history of pro wrestling. I can take it. Say whatever the hell you want about me. I've been through it. But you know what? Like, at the same time, if a guy comes out into the world and says, "Hey, listen, I'm going through this," but he did it in a Tyson Fury-esque fashion. And I do believe that he's going to come back from this one stronger than ever. I have the utmost confidence in him because he went out and sought the help. He got DDP involved. Okay, some great people, that really want to see what's best for him. Brandon Mickles in New York City with Barry Bloom and DDP. There's some people that are in the business of pro wrestling, that have been through it, like Jake Roberts, that when I go to DDP's place and I'm sitting there with Cass, I understand what he's going through because these people, they've been through it and they want to help him. So those people are uplifted by helping others. Okay? Make no mistake about it. The purpose of life should be you feel good because you help other people feel good. And that's what makes you who you are. That's what makes you feel good. So, I want to see him get to that point. I hope he comes back out and inspires people. I hope that the world pulls for him. I hope that they write him the letters that, I put up the DDP yoga address. Those letters are all getting forwarded to Big Cass that he's getting, from fans that want to reach out that perhaps are going through the same thing he is, have thoughts of taking their own life. That I've never had that happen to me. So I can't relate to that. But I want to know what I can do to help and make sure that you live a long life, a great life, because you can't look up at posters of Enzo and Cass and think about it in an autograph signing, be an animal with no hawk. All right, I'm too young for that, and I got a run left in me in pro wrestling that I feel coming on, but I want to be there to embrace it with my best friend. So that's the goal. Make no mistake about it for people who wonder if I'm wrestling or if I want to wrestle. I've been open to the opportunity to wrestle. I did say that I would never work for the WWE in a million years. I was standing on a football field, in L.A. when TMZ asked me the question if I'd ever work, and I said, no, not in a million years, never. There ain't a promoter who ain't got enough money to pay me. I wasn't talking a shot at all promoters. I was saying I just thought that at that point in my life I was bitter and I was severing ties with the wrestling world because there was only one place to go and do it.
Yeah.
That was how I built it up in my mind. I built it up in my mind that way. And I said, if I ain't doing it there, I ain't doing it anywhere. All right? And it's over. I left with a title. I'm good. It was crazy. I can't believe it happened to me. I'm lucky. Now you have Big Cass go through his situation, and I get to watch him in a ring with John Moxley in Six Flags, who's, taking this independent wrestling route and going to AEW, and the world of wrestling is on fire. And I'm standing there ringside with Big Cass and Ambrose, and there's nobody telling them how to perform their art, and that's what it is, art. And I just thought to myself, man, I've never done it like this because I learned everything I ever learned in the WWE. So I know how to do it as well as anyone, and I'd be stupid and, reluctant to waste this time in my life as a young man who could still perform at the highest, that ability. I'm in my prime right now. So if I ever wanted to go do it, time is of the essence. I don't want to wait around forever. But I'm also, now more understanding to the world of freedom that exists beyond pro wrestling. And that is what I want to just make and reiterate, that Cass's situation and my situation with him is about life and friendship and prosperity for, him. They say it's lonely at the top once you get there. Well, people say that, because, they don't have good people around them. Okay. I enjoyed the top with another guy, and we wanted to see other people who were in the ring with us do great business, wrestle, and come out of that ring feeling a high through pro wrestling with fans and energy by the 100,000 in arenas with the other guys that you're in the ring with, where all is right in the world. I know that moment and that feeling exists out there, and if I gotta do what I gotta do to provide it with my best friend, I would love to. To me, man, there just ain't no point of enjoying shit if you ain't enjoying it with other people. Yeah. That's all it is.
You said earlier, you talked about, the negativity that's out there online and stuff, but there was definitely a story about a month ago about you going and surprising one of your biggest fans. And I definitely wanted to touch on that because I don't know how many people saw it, but it was one of those moments where you didn't do this for the publicity or anything. You went out and surprised a fan. And what do moments like that mean to you in the broad scheme of your career? Like, how do moments like this rank where you're able to go and change a life like you did?
I don't think it's crazy, man. To me, it's 10 seconds out of my day anytime somebody stops me on the street or whatever. And I live in New Jersey now, where I haven't been back here since I was 18 years old, really. I got out of college at 23, and I pretty much got signed to the WWE at 24. 32 now, and I moved to New Jersey this past year to be with my grandmother who was passing away, and I was living with her, and I got to spend the last 5 months of her life, by her side, and I wouldn't have had that time had I been in the pro wrestling world on the road 300 days. So it was valuable time that I got to spend with family and friends, and I know that home is where the heart is, and my home is right here in New Jersey. So I came home for the first time, and if I stand on the street on Boulevard East in New Jersey, out in Weehawken, West New York, the cops roll up, the fire department pulls up, the Department of Public Works, it's just all love out here. If I walk down the street, how you doing, Enzo? And I lived in LA. It's a different vibe, man. You just don't get it anywhere else besides the tri-state area, New York City, New Jersey. And this is the city that has me in Cass's back. I truly got embraced with love when I came out of an accusation that was proven to be false, and the world embraced me in New York City. People showed up in Times Square by the thousand, and I just couldn't believe the warmth, of a wrestling world. We are a culture. We are a huge fan base that transcends into other things, other communities, and that's why I think we're a strong enough world to have a voice, and people should, in this community, try to lift each other up as often as they possibly can when they fall, because the guys who are in the ring are taking major risks, and some of them are having major mental health issues in later parts of their career. And it's a lot of it, I do believe it to be induced by the pressure of that world, not so much the physicality. So let's make no mistake about it. It's entertainment, but it's all encompassing when you're on the road 200, 300 days in a year, in and out of the ring in different cities, opportunities to meet people. So that little girl Destiny that you're talking about is the reason why I did what I did. At least I can't speak for everybody, but I truly believe that in the WWE, when you make it to the top and you look around that locker room, there really isn't a dirtbag in a gimmick uniform in the room. Ain't nobody got face paint on who's an asshole out there. You know what I'm saying? It's just you got to kind of prove that you are a good person to get to the top. And I saw a lot of people touch a lot of lives, and you can do that through pro wrestling. And I think it's mandatory that I take the time to speak to fans every time I do a meet and greet. So, I oftentimes get to meet people, talk to them 5, 10, 20 minutes. And my line is a line that lasts a long time. I don't know how long it is all the time, but I know that it lasts a long time because I take my time to hear from people and just embrace the opportunity I've been given to speak to people. That's my favorite thing to do, is meet people and talk to them. you learn a lot about life. You learn a lot about yourself when you do that. So I met a little girl named Destiny because my mother's cousin, so my cousin Gerald, is a school teacher, and he said that, hey, there's this little girl, Destiny, and she loves Eric, and he reached out on Facebook and sent my mom a video of this little girl at the Prudential Center doing my entrance, and she's wheelchair bound, but she's an incredible little human with a heart of gold, and her name is Destiny. She lives in Jersey City. So I got her contact information, and I surprised her, and I frequently do that because I live around the corner. I live 2 towns away, so I keep in touch with her dad. Shout out to Juan. He's a big wrestling fan. He has a whole group of guys that talk about wrestling on a wrestling podcast. And this little girl, Destiny, I do believe she can have a job in the business of pro wrestling one day. So I aspire any child out there that, you know, whether you're wheelchair bound or you're upright and walking around, I hope that if you know there's jobs in pro wrestling that exist beyond the wrestling ring. You can do things on the microphone, on camera, backstage as a writer. And, you know, I wouldn't be opposed to a job in pro wrestling for myself in the future as a writer or, you know, somebody who plays a role behind the scenes, because I feel like I have a lot to give in the world of pro wrestling, and it doesn't necessarily need to be on camera at all times.
It's incredible because with you coming onto the scene, WWE and NXT, and even now, you know, whenever you go around and travel for wrestling, you definitely stand out. And it's something that's kind of difficult to do in professional wrestling because sometimes we think it's all been done before. But one of the things I wanted to ask you about is you are heavily tattooed, and you've got some that we know mean a lot to you. Can you talk to us a little bit about some of those tattoos and if you've got plans to maybe get any more soon?
Yeah, you know, I was talking to Sammy from Inked Magazine about doing something when we could film it, because it seems like tattoos are a heavy area of interest amongst wrestling fans. So we share a lot in common in the world of ink and wrestling, apparently. But I know a lot of people's favorite superstars got some ink. I have some pretty iconic ink, if I do say so myself. You know, I got the microphone tattooed on my hand. My father's a DJ, and he held that microphone. But I've gotten some tattoos post WWE career, and I'll focus on those. So new tattoos. When I got let go by the WWE, I immediately went and got the Thug Life tattoo that I had on my stomach.
Yes.
I never got Thug, you know. I just got Life. But I got half of Tupac's Thug Life tattoo, no Thug, and I went and wrote with a crayon myself with a marker. I wrote love, so Love Life. I wrote it with my own hand, and I just told the girl that was there, just tattoo right over what I just wrote on my own skin. So I got Love Life written on my stomach now. Completed the Thug Life. So Love Life, Tony written on my right knuckles with the New York Giants NY for the Tony, and a black heart, you know, for the O. And then I got Rose on the other hand, with a red O for the Rose. And then I got a money bag on my ring finger because I'm married to the money, you know what I mean? So Tony and Rose, that's my mother and my father's names. Then I got Hail Mary, written in my grandmother's handwriting before she passed away. She wrote a prayer out, and I took those words in her handwriting along with her lips that have been tattooed on my hand. And then I got the word real with, you know, my logo that I trademarked tattooed on my forearm. I got Biggie Smalls and It Was All a Dream tattooed on my elbow with the American flag because I got the bionic elbow now. You know, Dusty Rhodes played a huge role in giving me an opportunity, and I owed the world to him. And you know, I wanted to pay him a little tribute on my elbow there because I know his shit was bionic, and my shit's pretty iconic, the microphone hands. So I put Biggie Smalls in a Coogee sweater with the Statue of Liberty on his head, counting money underneath. It was all a dream with the American flag in my elbow. That's a new one.
Now, obviously, with so many tattoos, and I don't know when you got your first one, but do you have any tattoo regrets?
Oh man, don't ask me a question so deep. You know what I mean?
Well, I
That's like
do.
one of the
I'll
deepest
tell you
questions
that.
ever. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, do I have any regret? Not really. I mean, you know, I got no. I don't live regrets. I've had a few, but then again, too few to mention. All right, I'm singing Frank Sinatra on the out, brother. I ain't got no damn regrets.
That's
Don't
awesome.
be asking me about my regrets.
Okay, you got it. Well, you also just touched on Dusty, and I put you up there, and I mean, you know, it's all very, it's kind of up to it's the eye of the beholder here, but I definitely put you top 5 on the mic of all time in professional wrestling, and who were some of your favorites on the mic, or who are some of your favorites still to this day that you really enjoy, you know, listening to whenever you were in professional wrestling?
It's funny you should say that, man. But by the way, thank you so much. That was very humbling. I don't put myself in the top 5, so I didn't have to do it like they did. But you know, like I've been watching a ton of like NWA, Mid-South, you know, AWA, WCCW, and WCW promos, because I got all the videos converted onto a hard drive from a guy that I met, and he gave me everything in like a Microsoft Excel format, okay, that like tells you every episode of TV and like who wrestled and the date, right?
That's
So
incredible.
I've just been watching, and dude, I'm watching like Chucky commercials and like, you know, like crazy Mentos commercials from back in the day in between the wrestling matches. You know what I'm talking about? Like Burger King commercials where they're selling like, you know, toys for like The Simpsons. It's perfect, man. So I've been studying the craft as of late in hopes of running my own wrestling show. I'll give more details as to exactly if this is a 100% reality when I get those details. But I can tell you that I more than likely will be taking wrestling to the Sunset Strip on November 23rd at the Comedy Store in Los Angeles, California, which will be the first time pro wrestling has been brought to the Comedy Store ever. And if you know about the Comedy Store with the likes of Jerry Seinfeld's name and Dave Chappelle and Richard Pryor written on the wall, Don Rickles, you know, this is the stuff of legend. So if I actually end up with the blessing of being the first guy to run a wrestling show at the Comedy Store on November 23rd, we're going to do it in a big and different way. Going to make the show very unique, and I think we're going to take it back to its core roots, where you watch guys like Bruno Sammartino and Larry Zbyszko go out there and not talk to each other until they saw each other in the ring. So it's a different breed of pro wrestling that's old, it's fun, and I love to watch me some pro wrestling that's called on the fly.
That's awesome. So I know that you're super busy. You got all kinds of stuff going on right now. I just, I wanted to know a couple of things. Number one, how do you feel about the Giants this season?
Oh my God, bro. Well, coming off of this high right now with this Danny Jones, Mr. Jones, dude, Danny Dimes out here trapping dimes. I nearly broke my television set when he ran that touchdown in, but then I looked at the clock and I was like, there's 1 minute and 25 seconds left. They're gonna drive right down the field and kick a field goal. Then the damn guy missed the field goal from like 35 yards out. Oh man, it was so perfect. I'm so happy to be, riding another wave of a new quarterback who seems to, be a stand-up dude out there, just being all about New York Giant football. Like he didn't fall far from the tree. You know what I'm saying? He looks like he could play Eli Manning in a movie about Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like this guy. But you know what, man? Eli's my favorite player of all time. I think I put him above Derek Jeter as my favorite athlete ever, as a New York fan, man. And, you know, like, damn, bro, I just wish Pat Ewing would have made that finger roll, bro, because, you know, I fucking love the Knicks, dude. You know, the Giants spoiled me later in my life, but I'm good on those 2 Super Bowls like I'm good on my 2 wrestling championships, bro. I am good for life, dude. That is it, man. The fashion in which we won those 2 New York Giants Super Bowls, Eli Manning can, you know, if he killed a man right in front of me, I'd ask him, you know, I'd grab the shovel and ask him where the body needs to be. So that guy is good for life with me.
That's awesome. And, you know, again, we're getting you out of here, but just what's next for you? We know that you've got some music coming out, possibly doing a wrestling show. I think you're actually going to be here on the East Coast again for doing some wrestling here within a month or so, I think. But you know, what else? What's left on Enzo's list? What do you got going on? What do you want to accomplish?
Well, you know, for me, I think that people got to understand with pro wrestling that there's just not a part of me that kind of goes half-ass on anything and kind of goes into anything half-heartedly. If I got to do something, it's going to be wholeheartedly, and I gotta put all of me into it. So I just have to see the right situation in pro wrestling where you know, I could make some money, have a lot of fun, creative input, and be able to put a you know, and do good business. And I think that's the most important thing, you know, like understanding what it is to do good business, and being very choosy about when I want to do it. I've had an opportunity, you know, to get out there in front of masses, and recently I did have a wrestling match at the Mid-Hudson Civic Center, and like I said, that was just, you know, opportunity and irony. You know, it was a big time wrestling show with John Moxley, Pentagon Jr., Big Cass, Darby Allin, you know, to name a few, you know, David Arquette and Jerry Lawler and Booker T. It was just some people I haven't seen in a while, and good to get out there in front of the fans, because it was the same fans that came to watch me in 205 Live in my last match, which was in this very same arena, the Mid-Hudson Civic Center. So the Mid-Hudson Civic Center is a place I visited as a child to watch wrestling. It's a place that homed Monday Night Raw tapings back in the day, and it's where it hosted the 205 Live tour that I had my last wrestling match in the night before the 25th anniversary of Raw. So time was certainly, you know, a factor in this. I took enough time away from pro wrestling to feel comfortable enough to say, hey, like, okay, you know, I'm ready to get back in there and have some fun. And that's all this was me. Fun, you know. I got in there with Brian Pillman Jr., and Brian Pillman was one of my favorite wrestlers. So it was just an honor and a privilege to get in there with his son, to give back to the business, in essence, you know, by you know, being able to learn from him and him being able to learn from me. And you know, if I could have fun like that in the right situation at the Mid-Hudson Civic Center, you know, once a month, I could see myself doing that forever. You know what I mean? I'd be Ric Flair at the Mid-Hudson Civic Center. You know, I have no problem with that, bro. Like I said, the situation's got to be right. The locker room and the people around me, you know, I just have to feel these things out. And I've just recently gotten back into pro wrestling with Big Cass, but on a different level. Since he's gone away, you know, and put himself in an environment where he's off social media, I'm in essence, you know, still taking those bookings that he was booked on, making good with the business that we're doing with promoters, you know, and getting out there and representing the both of us. And I'm doing it as Eric. So when you come to the meet and greet, you get to meet me, talk to me, and I grab the microphone before these events and I let people know, you know, that depression, anxiety, and you know, addiction are real things. They're a disease, and that rather than sit around, you know, just all that I want to do is, you know, the "How You Doing" campaign is real simple. It's just walk up to somebody and say, "How you doing?" And that question could spark, you know, a million answers, and you never know how somebody's really doing. So I hope that people just really start asking the question, "How you doing?" and being genuine when they do so, because we need to be there for the people that we can't necessarily relate to, but we need to understand that they're dealing with demons that we have to acknowledge, and they're real, and they might be repercussions from actions that were taken, in the wrestling ring, or the pressure of the world that they put themselves in. And, nobody here is a victim. We're not claiming to be victims. We're just, I'm not saying that Big Cass is a victim. He is sitting here saying, hey, no, I'm not a victim. I'm like you. Okay. And some days it's difficult for me to get out of bed, and other days I don't want to be alive. And you know what? I know I'm having these thoughts, and people don't want to talk about it. But you know what? If I talk about it, maybe somebody else will too. And I know that he's inspired people because I'm so proud of him. I've been to the meet and greets with promoters Lombardi at NEW, which we've done in the Northeast, me and Cass recently over the few months. And he's met so many people that were inspired by him coming out of the closet, so to say, as a anxiety, depressant, former addict who's trying to cure these demons. So he's having conversations with people that are deep, that are real, and people are inspired, and I see it, and I'm so proud of him for it. And I'm willing to open those conversations and try to put a smile on people's face when I can as well. And I never saw this scenario unfolding necessarily the way that it did. Me getting back into pro wrestling, for one, me and Big Cass becoming friends again, for two, now becoming business partners again, that friendship being the core foundation of seeing each other live our best lives. And I know, and he knows, that our best lives are out there in front of those people, because that is where we are at our best. And I appreciate the people that afford me that opportunity. Any promoter that gives me a microphone and lets me speak on, these demons that Big Cass is, facing. And, just people that, I haven't gotten an opportunity to get out there in the indie scene before I was a pro wrestler, in the WWE. Now that I have, I see such an incredible world. And I don't necessarily, I don't necessarily say that I'm getting in the ring on these indie shows, but I'm more than happy to be a part of this world, embrace it, and help people when I can.
Well, we want to thank you so much for coming on today, and it's really a big deal for us. You mentioned it earlier. You've got an Instagram. Where can people keep up with everything that's going on in your life?
You can follow me at Real1REAL1. Listen to my music, Real1REAL1. Album just came out, Born in New Jersey. It's got an ode to Bruce Springsteen on the cover. Got an American flag, born in the USA, vibe. And I got, some records out there with Bellis, Smoke DZA, and I'm working on some pop music right now. So get ready for the wave. And pro wrestling, keep your eyes wide open for, some 7-footer that's, is going to be, gone for a little while. But, I know the world of pro wrestling will embrace him with arms wide open when and if he ever decides to come back out and embrace that world that loves him. We thank you for his support. And I just want to thank everybody who listens to my music, affords me the opportunity to, put food on my table, live a life in entertainment, which, they tell you so often as a child is impossible. I want you to know that you can, put a home, and a roof over your shoulders, that you can put food on your plate if you're a little kid and you want to be a pro wrestler, or you want to be a musician, or you want to be a comedian. All of these things are attainable, and more importantly than anything, you can do all of them. You don't have to do one. So, focus up, get good at one, master it, figure out something else, challenge yourself. Change is challenge, and I'm blessed with that right now. So I'm having a good time getting out there in the world, and I do believe that I'll be taking stages in music in some big ways, and with some big opportunities coming my way. And I'll continue to write and pen these movie scripts and these treatments and get them in the hands of the people, hopefully, that can make them a reality. Doesn't necessarily mean that I need to be reflected on the screen, but I'm a writer, and that is where I excel. And I aspire any young pro wrestler that's out there in the world to start writing heavily. Anytime that one of your friends makes you laugh, write their joke down and steal it from them.
Well, again, thank you so much. I wish you and Cass both the best, and anytime that you are around, you are more than welcome to be on here. And again, thank you for your time.
You guys watched Monday Night Raw, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, because we did talk about it today. So that show opened up with that terrible storyline between Rusev and Bobby Lashley.
Oh, God.
It was horrendous. But let me tell you something, guys. There's something that Bobby Lashley did Rusev has not done. Reason why Lana is in bed with Bobby Lashley. You want to know what that is?
What is that?
He went to BlueChew.com and he used the promo code AWP to get his first shipment for free, and he just only paid $5.
$5?
$5.
That's it.
That's it. He went to BlueChew.com with the promo code AWP. Rusev, if you are listening to this, you better go to BlueChew.com and use that AWP promo code.
We gotta
shit.
We gotta give a shout out to Rusev. Rusev, do you remember when you were always ready to go? Now you can increase your performance and get that extra confidence in bed. Listen up. You can take them anytime, day or night, even on a full stomach. So all your pierogies and your kielbasa, all that shit, you could still take your fucking Blue Chew. And since they're chewable, they work up to twice as fast as a pill, so you can be whenever an opportunity arises.
That's BlueChew.com. That's blue, like the color blue.
Blue Chew is prescribed online and is shipped straight to your door in a discreet package. So no in-person doctor's visits, no waiting in line in the pharmacy, no, hey guys, got your dick pills over here ready. No, best of all, it's just no more awkwardness. It's the best thing. They're going to send it to your house in a discreet, no one's going to know that you're getting dick pills in the mail.
That's true, because, guys, right now, we got a special deal for our listeners. Visit BlueChew.com and get your first shipment free when you use our special promo code AWP. Just pay $5 for shipping. Again, that's BlueChew.com, BlueChew.com, promo code AWP to try it for free.
That's right. They're made in the USA, and since Blue Chew prepares and ships direct, they're cheaper than the pharmacy. What else could you want, bitches?
Blue Chew is better, faster, and the cheaper option. And we want to thank Blue Chew, us, from Another Wrestling Podcast, for the sponsorship. And Rusev, if you're listening, please do us all a favor, man. Go to BlueChew.com and use the promo code AWP. You really need it, bro. You really need it.
Fantastic. Let's keep it moving, though, because I got this great idea based on the shitty booking, and yes, I'm saying shitty booking, at the end of that Hell in a Cell.
Don't remind me.
Let's talk about some pay-per-views that may or may not have ended in a similar fashion, with fans booing for the wrong reason. What do you think about that, Credo?
I think that's fair enough. Because we all focused on this pay-per-view. We all focused on how bad the ending was, whether they could have did better, they could have did something different. It ain't the first pony ride, you know what I'm saying? There's been many, many bad bookings through the years that kind of finished pay-per-views, and I guess, that's a perfect topic for this week, because
let's do this. Let's throw out the pay-per-view, the situation. Let's see, is this worse than Hell in a Cell ending? Let's compare it to the ending of Hell in a Cell. So let's go first with one of my personal favorites, Halloween Havoc 1995, where the main event was Hulk Hogan versus the Giant for the WCW title. This is after they had a monster truck pull on the top of an arena, and Hulk Hogan seemingly has thrown the Giant off of the arena into the lake or the river or whatever the fuck it is. The Giant walks down to the ring for their match afterwards as if nothing happened. And what happens at the end of this particular match It's the Yeti.
The
Do you remember the
fucking
Yeti, Mike?
Yeah, I do. I remember the Yeti. And we're not talking about the Yeti from Tough Enough a couple of years ago. That Josh guy. We're talking about the Mummy Yeti, the WCW Yeti.
He was such a big dude, and it's like
Ron Reese, dude. Yeah. He's
how
a
do you
big-
ruin it?
But here's the thing. Shivani has said that as nice as a guy as he is, he has absolutely no athletic ability, which is very apparent because at the end of that match, all you see is Hulk Hogan in the middle of the Giant and the Yeti, where it looks like the Yeti is literally fucking Hogan in the ass. Okay? Worse than Hell in a Cell? Yes or no? Hulk Hogan getting fucked by a mummy seems pretty bad to me.
That's pretty bad. That's not how I want to end my night.
All right, fair enough. All right. Point taken. All right. Well, what else happened? I mean, there's got to be more to argue about.
You know, it's funny. The ones that it's a lot of WCW. How about this one? Starrcade 97. Sting versus Hogan. This is the culmination of a very, very long Sting storyline with the NWO. This should have been the easiest match ever. Scorpion Death Drop. 1, 2, 3, over. Fans go crazy. Easy, right? Wrong. No, we have to have a referee come and well, actually, it was supposed to be a fast count. It was a regular count. And Bret Hart came in and said that it was a fast count, a la the Montreal Screwjob, which the fans are looking at him like, what the fuck? That was not a fast count. All of a sudden, the match is restarted. Sting becomes the WCW World Heavyweight Champion. Probably one of the worst endings to what should have been the easiest ending to a pay-per-view. Now, the fans aren't booing because they're happy that Sting won, but when you look at how that match is booked, that's pretty fucking bad. Thoughts, gentlemen?
It's like too many cooks in the kitchen. It's like you had a perfect story to tell, and you could have told it, but then it was like you're trying to think outside the box too much to where, how it's gonna end. Like all you needed was a regular finish. You didn't need to go outside this and bring Hart in there and restart it, and you know what I mean. Like it was fine if it was just what it was, but then they had to like add all this other nonsense to it, and it was like, no, it's too much now.
Can I add one?
Please.
Here? Royal Rumble 1994. Yokozuna versus The Undertaker. When the entire heel locker room emptied out and jumped Taker, and he, via the TV screen, rose to heaven.
He ascended, as Bruce Pritchard would say. Yeah,
he ascended into heaven. And cut this promo while he was inside a casket, I believe. Like there's the camera and I thought that ending was terrible.
I can probably still recite that promo, as sad as that is.
And now that I think about it, I don't think it ended the pay-per-view, but it was still a shitty ending.
Oh God, that was really... No, I think that did end the pay-per-view.
Did it? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it was for the WWF champion.
Maybe.
Well, that's just another Vince writing. So what else? I mean, there's more WCW things you had in here too. What were?
Oh God, there's Halloween Havoc '98, which was the rematch between Hogan and the Warrior.
Oh man,
with the batched fucking flash paper.
And this is like a thing, cause like everybody loves Hogan, everybody loves Warrior at this time, and like now WCW gets to have this rematch on their show. Like that's a big deal at this time and point, right? So it's like. Now when you look back on it, it is what it is. But at that time, you have two of the biggest names in wrestling at one point on your show to have one of their biggest rematches ever. Fucking A, man. This is like the time where you just need to know when not to do anything anymore. That whole botch job on the flash paper, so bad. And then fucking Horace Hogan. That was like I feel like a backstage move. Like fuck, the flash paper didn't work. Who's backstage? Horace, get out there! Like he was just standing there, and they probably used him for that reason alone, just to like save this match. But man, it was you're trying to put two of these guys who were the biggest names in their prime. I'm not saying they were totally out of their prime, but they were like with their foot out the door, and it was just like. it wasn't good to keep trying to capture that magic again. You know, like what do they say, try to capture that spark in a bottle or whatever, the magic or whatever. I forget the phrase, but yeah, this it looked good on paper, but it did not look good on TV.
So those were all pay-per-views that I picked that had shitty endings. I'm gonna throw out a few now where the endings were so bad that the fans started booing. All right, so let's talk about ECW's December to Dismember in 2006 with the weapons-filled Elimination Chamber match where everybody was hoping for, I don't know, was it CM Punk was in that one? Was RVD in that one? I don't remember.
No. I think he was actually. No, I think he is.
I think Sabu got replaced with Bob Holly, maybe something like that. But the point was, how the fuck Bobby Lashley in it? Because it had to be a Vince guy. This pay-per-view was so bad, and the fans booed so loud, and the fucking pay-per-view ran short. This in essence killed ECW as a brand under the WWE banner.
Yeah, definitely did.
And this is at that point though, like they're all high on Bobby Lashley, right? Like they wanted to make that world title. I feel like, you know, because at the time too, the ECW championship was the ECW championship, but I feel like they wanted to use Bobby as to elevate it, to really make it that brand 3. Like now they're you know, the trifecta of what it could be today, but you know, the Raw, the Smackdown, and the ECW, and yeah, I don't know. It was one of those things. I think they just wanted to push him, give him a chance to do something, but I don't know. I guess it just didn't work out at the end for what they really wanted.
Well, that match is what it is. It's the drizzling shits, ladies and gentlemen. One of my favorite Ole Anderson phrases. It's the shits, kid. It's the shits. How about this one? We all remember this one. Royal Rumble 2014. The fans booing that Rey Mysterio was the last person to come out and not Daniel Bryan. And Batista winning that match.
Man, Batista. This is where the fans realized, I feel like, that their voice matters, Cooter. This is where we could probably change stuff to where, fuck, this is what you're giving us? This is like one of those Vince moves, like, we're going to put Batista in it, and he's going to go to WrestleMania. And the fans were just like, fuck, no, like, stop just, you know, giving us shit that just because he's in a few movies now, just stop. And, you know, the fans had it with this, man. This is one of those moments where it wasn't that big of a deal, but it was that big of a deal to the fans at home to where, like, I'm paying for this shit. I do not want to see him in this main event. And that's, you know, that's from there that whole Yes movement began, right?
That's absolutely. And not only that, I also attribute this match to Roman Reigns having a very, very hard time getting over as a face with the heels, because I remember they would have cheered anybody in that match but Batista. They did not want him. And when they saw Roman Reigns getting cheered over Batista in hopes that he would actually win that match, that's when they really started pushing him and cramming him down our throats. And up until the next Royal Rumble that next year, where they fucking forced him in our fucking faces, that poor bastard didn't have a chance, all because Batista. I blame Batista. I do.
It all goes back to Batista.
It's all Batista's fault. The poor bastard. And all he wanted was a check. What the fuck, bro? What are you going to do? All right. Well, we got two more. Well, you know what? I'm not even going to consider Undertaker versus Roman with a lot of boos. But I'm going to talk Roman versus Triple H. This one was so bad on television. This is the one I want to say where we felt like they cut the crowd mics, Credo. Remember?
Yeah.
This is WrestleMania 32, Reigns versus Triple H for the WWE Heavyweight title. And they just would not stop shitting on the main event of this match. You remember this one, Mine.
And now, correct me if I'm wrong, because this is a few years out now. Did somebody have the Money in the Bank the briefcase at this point, or no? Nobody had
no.
it. Because I'm thinking the only reason why people actually stuck around to see this was that one hope that somebody would cash in on whoever the champion was. And that's the only thing I was thinking of. Like
that was the year when they had when Rollins got injured, and they had the tournament at Survivor Series. and Sheamus cashed in at the tournament.
All right,
then he won the title, then he lost it at the Rumble to Triple H.
And it was just one of those things, though. It was like, I off the top of my head, I was just thinking, was this the only reason people were sticking around to watch it? And it was like, you didn't want to see Roman win it, but then you didn't really want Triple H to carry it after WrestleMania. It was just like, one of those hate fucks. I fucking hate this.
Either way.
Yeah, I'm like, fuck, I'm going to watch it, but I hate it. I don't care about any of this.
Do you want me to punch you with the left hand, or do you want me to punch you with the right hand? Either way, you're still getting punched.
And when he won it, there was booze, though. I could remember it wasn't the greatest grand reception of what they wanted it. I don't think, right?
No.
Especially the people there too. I remember people saying that were there live.
I believe, and I was told that they were booing it was the Woes was telling us they were booing them out of the fucking building, and we couldn't really tell because it seemed like they cut the crowd mics.
Yeah,
and you could tell they cut the crowd mics halfway through the fucking match.
Man,
and now listen. I'm no audio guy. I'm not in media. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. But I can tell all of a sudden when the crowd is pretty loud, and then all of a sudden it's about half as loud as it was before. Yep. I don't know. I mean, my ears still work pretty good. I'm not a professional, but they still work.
Well, you didn't want to say it, but I do want you to say it to just finish this off here because it wasn't the last match, was it? Was Roman and Taker the last match of WrestleMania 33 or no?
Yes, they closed the show.
That was it. Okay.
And they were booing Roman as he left, but here's the thing. The boos stopped because that's when The Undertaker took off his gloves and left his jacket and a hat in the ring. But could you imagine had he not done that, and that's how they closed out the show? Oh,
I know, and that was, that's where the Taker should have died. That's where she should have probably just left and just stopped. But it was such a bad match. They botched and it was Roman or Taker. It was both of them. Maybe it was Roman with his nerves on such a high-profile match to have to either retire Taker or whatnot. God knows what you're thinking in the ring.
I also attribute that because word wasn't Taker still. Was it hip surgery or something like that?
Something. Yeah, he needed something or something. I forget.
Yeah, and you know what? That's why when he had that look on his face this year with the Goldberg thing, I just wanted to be like, Roman didn't do that to you during fucking WrestleMania. I'm just was.
But it does get chalked up there as one of those times where the fans just fucking hated it. I mean, I just remember watching it live and I'm like, oh, this is horrible. How do you go out like this?
Those were some loud boos though. Before the fans got respectful towards Taker. It was pretty fucking vicious.
Well, guys, I mean, I guess you made a point of that. Maybe this match at Hell in a Cell with the Fiend and Rollins wasn't as bad, but I'm telling you, it was pretty bad.
It's pretty fucking bad. I'm just saying, this isn't the first time we've seen some really bad shit.
Yeah. So I mean, point proven, point taken. It is interesting, guys, but it is what it is. I want to remind everybody, once again, anotherwrestlingpodcast.com. Follow us, like us, subscribe to us, leave us some love. We'll love you right back. I don't know.